Okay, everyone, peace. Welcome back to the news pivot. I've been away for a bit, so I definitely have a lot to get to. First, I want to, what we mentioned in earlier broadcasts with the rising prices of oil. We foresaw that gas prices would be on the uptick. Therefore, the EV option would get back into people's, memories. They're like, when gas was manageable, a lot of people were not as on the getting the EV train as prior when gas prices were reaching all time highs. Now that we're back in that same situation, as we thought, EVs are more popular, getting back popular now. I was hoping against that because that's obviously, supply and demand that's going to raise the prices up. Since I was currently in the market for EV. But enough about me. First story is going to be how Ford is investing billions into the EV program. So let's hear some reporting on it. And of course, I'm going to chime in.
We are here in Long Beach, California at Ford's brand new electric vehicle development center. Up until a few months ago, this was a very secretive location. It started as a skunkworks team with one person and is not.
I do like this though. As I mentioned, I did like the Ford Lightning concept. I thought it was a great truck, serviceable, a serviceable EV. A lot of the EVs, they weren't making them to look like just a regular truck. So I think that was groundbreaking. They kind of went away from it. Hopefully brings the Lightning back in full force. That would just be better for choices.
Grown to about 350 people, and they are developing what they're calling the Universal Electric Vehicle. This is Ford's $5 billion bet, as Ford CEO Jim Farley has called it. The main goal is to obviously compete against the growing competition of Chinese vehicles globally, as well as U.S. industry leader Tesla. The first one is expected to be a mid-sized pickup truck.
We talked about the Chinese industry. As we mentioned, remember it. If we ever sell Chinese EVs here in America, it's going to be game over. It's that important. It'll be catastrophic to American car dealers. So hopefully we hold the line on that whole topic.
Out next year. We spoke with Alan Clark, the executive leading all of this, and what he pretty much described to us is that this pickup will be in a league of its own.
I mean, the midsize pickup truck, there won't be anything that competes with it, either in price or product.
I disagree with that. They got a new company, Scout. They got a plant coming out of South Carolina. I think they're gonna, and Rivian actually, the R1. That's pretty sure that's the truck version. But Rivian, I think they're great in that space. Rivian's just too expensive right now for my taste, But Scout, they're supposed to be making the truck to where I think Jeff Bezos has a hand in that. They're supposed to be making the truck. It's supposed to be $30,000 where you can add. It's like a module type concept. So definitely on the lookout for Scout. I think that's going to be a game changer. So Ford's going to have some competition on their hands.
Form. And so I think it sort of stands alone in that sense, but it's also more room than a RAV4, which is the number one selling SUV in the world right now. It's got a bed size that's ultra useful, has secure lockable storage in the front, and it's long range. All of those things together are going to make it such that it's super compelling for a massive quantity of customers, including many people who have never thought about buying a pickup truck before.
A lot of the employees here were from Tesla. They were from other EV startups, aerospace, even some defense workers, and then of course Ford Motor Company. So they're really trying to bring a lot of employees and a lot of different ideas together to be able to build what they think is going to be a revolutionary vehicle. Obviously, a lot has changed in the...
I personally am not trying to ditch ICE vehicles altogether. Definitely want to keep one around, but I'm trying to convert all my EVs, all my vehicles to EVs, Especially, I'm trying to convert all my, it's going to take a little while, but all the vehicles I have, I'm just trying to slowly but surely convert my ICE vehicles to EVs and move forward from there.
Electric vehicle market since Ford announced this several years ago. The industry has not come to fruition as much as many thought it was going to be, but Ford believes this vehicle will be able to get through all of that, and it will differentiate itself as a winner in the marketplace against internal combustion engine traditional vehicles as well as EVs. What gives you confidence that, this could be the best EV ever built, but the market isn't there?
I think agility is key. We've been able to pivot around all the different market conditions, everything from tariffs to different subsidies, you name it. The EV industry's had massive headwinds, and so we've had to adjust. And the only way we can adjust is by having the smartest people work around the constraints that exist. And when things change, we change. So, I'm very confident that's the right team doing it. We've also invested in the right places. You don't get to low material cost by doing things the same way you've already done them. And so we've had to take new ideas and really do hardcore engineering work to get them ready for volume production. And the result of that is you can hit the cost basis that we're talking about to be able to sell vehicles at the price points that we're going to offer.
And Ford's taking what they're learning here and using it across the company. So we should see a lot of these best practices going out throughout Ford in the coming years and months. And from there on out, we'll see kind of a changing Ford, a more dynamic Ford. That's kind of what they're going for.
So that's Ford speaking on their investments. We're gonna go to another segment to where Ford, they're going to be they're promoting that they're going to hit the $30,000 price for their truck. We're gonna go into that here in just 1 second. So more on Ford, I do like that they're trying to really make their mark in the EV space. I think it's a good move. Choice is always the best, and they're basically not giving up on ICE. But they're steadily investing in the EV sector, which is great. So they're saying they're going to hit a $30,000 truck. Let's watch some reporting on it and see what they got going on over at the Ford plants.
A truck plant outside of Detroit, which few had access to, engineers were secretly at work on a project you might have thought was dead and gone, an electric truck. The Wall Street Journal reported on the details the other day as Ford dropped much of the secrecy and announced there will be an American-made EV option in the near future, and it will be cheap, $30,000, meant to directly compete with.
I tell you what, if they can hit that $30,000 mark, which I don't quite believe, they lure you in with that. It might start bare bones 30 grand. However, if they can at least get it down to that threshold, I think that's going to be definitely good for their corporation. Because right now, holy smokes, the average sedan is, you're at 50K easy.
China has been offering, keeping American automakers in the fight for the future.
Pay attention how China is always getting mentioned in these conversations. I'm telling you, all it's going to take is a stroke of a pen from some politicians, and they're going to flood the U.S. market with Chinese EVs. And again, we already spoke on that.
So what is Ford promising exactly? Well, they say the truck will be nearly as fast as a Mustang, travel around 300 miles on a single charge, and come with a $30,000 price tag, which would mean it would cost roughly half of what the average EV does here in the U.S. The timing is also interesting. It was only last year that Trump and Congress made it clear that to them, fossil fuels were the future, cutting the tax incentives to buy EVs and rolling back emissions and fuel standards, all but telling Detroit to unplug their batteries. Because of that, it did seem like American EVs were DOA, American EV trucks. But then the president launched a war in Iran, gas prices shot up, and the global demand for EVs shot up.
That's exactly what was the chain of events. When the current administration got in, gas got at a really manageable price. Everybody started breaking out the V8s again. Life was pretty good. Everybody put the EVs on the back burner. But now it's been the tide has shifted.
Along with it, that includes the demand here at home. So while Ford might not be saying Iran was a factor, it's clear someone behind the scenes understood what the future will hold for combustion engines eventually. despite what the president wanted to project. In fact, battery prices, the most expensive part of an EV, recently fell below a major tipping point, dropping under $100 per kilowatt an hour for the first time, according to Bloomberg. Analysts.
That's the only bad part, a byproduct from electric vehicles. You know, they're pulling all that cobalt and all those minerals out of the earth. So as those materials become limited, that's only going to drive prices up on the EVs. So it's just a balance there, and we just have to monitor it.
That's the level where EVs can start competing directly with gas cars on price. And unlike gas-powered cars, EVs have fewer moving parts, lower maintenance costs, no oil changes, and of course, cheaper fuel over time. The International Energy Agency says electric vehicles could make more than half of all global car sales by 2030. That's just 4 years away. Again, I am not exactly sure what is behind Ford's decision to reveal their EV plans right now, but it does make you hopeful that when you look up and
Mr. Farley is on top of it. He's a good CEO. He's doing his thing.
emperors wearing no clothes, other people in meaningful positions see it too, even if they won't say it.
So that's that on Ford. I hope they continue their initiative in the EV space, make their footprint. That's only going to drive competition, is only going to drive prices down, and we ultimately are the benefactors of that with better products across the board. So we've been talking a lot about EVs. It's only right or fitting that we touch on the current state of the gas prices. I filled up my little 4-cylinder yesterday from a half a tank, and it was $27. So that's abnormal. I used to fill that thing up, honestly, for $25. I used to fill it up from E. So it's definitely affecting fellow Americans. So let's get the current state of the gas prices and go from there.
Fuel prices across the U.S. have put the spotlight back on EVs. Interest in other parts of the world,
Common theme of the show, common theme of the pivot this week, apparently,
as in Europe, has jumped. But in the U.S., it's a little early to tell.
Data from Edmunds shows that in April, more customers did trade in their gas cars for EVs, both in the new and used markets. The increase was about 7% overall. Popular segments, small and mid-size SUVs, saw the biggest jumps. There is also a rising number of repeat EV customers.
I'm trying to find a Model Y performance on the low. You know, I'm trying to get it off of Tesla's website just so I know I have that sense that it's definitely good to go. You know, I haven't really been going from retail dealers or anything like that, but definitely looking for a Model Y performance 2023 to 2025 used, you know. That's what I'm in the market for. Under 30. That's my goal.
Edmunds Senior Director of Insights, Ivan Drury, told me that the increase is significant, but it's not immense.
It's not like we're seeing an influx of people with like 3-year-old cars saying, I gotta get an EV, these gas prices are killing me, I don't care what it costs. Like things like that, definitely not yet.
Edmunds data from dealerships shows that EVs are still among the vehicles with the best financing offers. Aaron Keating, an analyst for Cox Automotive, told me that data from Cox's sites like AutoTrader and Kelley Blue Book indicate that some buyers are at least showing some interest in EVs when they shop.
They were already in market, they're considering, prices are going up. Why the heck not look at EV vehicles that are available?
It's important to separate new EVs from used ones. The used market has seen a surge in sales. A lot more EVs are coming into the used market right now. Most of those vehicles are coming off of lease. One of the reasons for this is that the federal tax credits came with a loophole that allowed EVs made outside the US to still get the credit if the buyer leased them. So there is a lot more supply and prices are lower. But in the new market, overall transaction prices and interest rates are still quite high, and gas prices are probably not hurting customers enough to spur everyone to go out and trade in their cars for a new EV if they don't need to.
Why would someone take on a new car payment when they don't have to, unless they're in the upper end of the K-shape and it's no big deal to them, and why not?
In addition,
Well, I disagree with that. I know some folks personally that have been trading in their gas vehicles, and they're justifying it by basically, the savings of the payment may stay the same. A lot of times Tesla offers the 0.99 interest rates or the APR, and they've been just justifying saying, hey, I'm paying the same payment, but I'm not getting gas. And, they're justifying it in their minds. So it's happening out there. It may not be the norm right now, but it's happening.
Usual cognitive and behavioral barriers to EVs still exist. The concerns about...
Plus, if you can charge at home, that definitely plays a factor. Vice charging out, out on the economy or fast charging. So that's all added into the equation, whether it makes sense for you to ditch the icing and grab the EV.
times and charging infrastructure.
Those factors haven't gone away simply because gas prices have gone up.
But industry analysts say these unexpectedly high...
And I can add, once you make that switch to the EV, it doesn't matter, this very well and will happen again, ebbs and flows with gas prices, they fluctuate. So at least if you go ahead and jump and grab your EV, you got that safety, unless the electricity bill starts to get crazy per kilowatt. Right now it's in the cents, so it's very affordable.
Prices are bringing EVs back into the public discussion just months after the tax credits were removed and automakers started announcing multi-billion-dollar EV investment write-downs and pivots back to gas vehicles.
The good thing for EVs, I think, in the future is that this crisis happened right at the proper time where we were starting to pull back on attention on EVs because we knew that the credits went away, and this helps them stay in the conversation.
So that's that. And then we're going to go into, next up, we got Chinese car manufacturers. We've been talking on it. So let's hear some reporting on it and see how close they are to servicing or shipping some products over to this country. We're going to take a break. With higher gas prices, we're at that precipice to where your consumers are going to get upset and they're willing to bend, just like NAFTA and all that good stuff. They're setting it up the way they can just usher in a way for Chinese automakers to start selling their products over here, which is not good. We got to hold a line on that. So I pulled this reporting of which Chinese EV car maker will be first. Hopefully it's zero. But as Americans get more and more frustrated with the rising of oil/gas prices, that may open up an opportunity for Chinese EVs to start making their way into the U.S. Let's hear some commentary on it. Well, let's hear some reporting on it, and then we're going to chime in.
Republican and Democrat are fighting to keep Chinese automakers out of America. But some of these companies are already here. There are more than 100 Chinese automotive firms with some kind of operation in the US, according to Dun Insights, a consultancy which focuses on autonomous and EV markets. BYD makes buses in California. Chinese battery maker CATL has a deal with Ford to...
They would start in California, but I did not know that there were BYD-made buses in California. That's interesting.
EV batteries in Michigan. But by far, the company probably best positioned to sell full cars in the US right now is Geely, auto industry analysts told me. That's because, in a way, it already does.
Geely is the only one that actually has a physical footprint already in the US through those other brands. So they've got the factory, they've got distribution network, they've got a supply chain.
The name Geely can refer to a holding company, a publicly traded OEM, and a brand, depending on the context. Geely Holding is a large shareholder in 3 automakers that all operate in the US: Volvo, Polestar, and sports car maker Lotus. Geely Holding owns 78.8% of Volvo's stock. Volvo and Geely founder Li Shufu, who also goes by the name Eric Li, together control a large stake in Polestar. Geely Holding controls 51% of Lotus. It also has a smaller stake in Mercedes-Benz and in luxury maker Aston Martin. While Geely Holding is Volvo's majority shareholder, a Volvo spokesperson said in an email that Geely does not manage or oversee any daily operations of Volvo cars or any list.
Exactly. That may be a way for them to usurp them way over into the US, but that's not the same as having an actual EV like a BYD or what was it, Greenlee EV car selling for 16,000. That's not the same. So this just sounds like Volvo just sold some of their company over to that particular to Greenlee or whatnot.
Companies it holds shares in. Premium EV brand Polestar, which was spun out of Volvo, is also listed on NASDAQ. Lotus is split between two entities, one public and one private, but the public company plans to acquire the privately owned piece, and Geely Holding is the majority owner of both. These companies also have deep ties in other ways. Geely manufactures Lotus EVs in China, Geely Holdings' CFO is on Polestar's board, and Geely founder Li Shufu is Volvo's chair. Both Volvo and Polestar collaborate.
It's Geely, not Greenlee. My fault.
Extensively with Geely, and Volvo CEO Håkan Samuelsson said the relationship puts Volvo in a better position to compete with Chinese automakers than its peers. In its annual report, Volvo said it wants to expand the relationship. All three of these brands have dealership networks in the US. Volvo also owns a plant in South Carolina. A spokesman for Volvo told me he wanted to stress that Volvo Cars is the owner of the plant, not Geely. But Volvo CEO Samuelsson reportedly said on April 29th that the company would be open to making Chinese cars at the plant, and it does have capacity. That factory is vastly underutilized, said Sam Abu Al-Samid, who is a researcher at Telemetry Insights. It's producing a fraction of its annual capacity of about 150,000 units. Volvo does plan to grow those volumes. It's introducing production of the hybrid XC60 SUV to the plant, which Abu Al-Samid estimates will add another roughly 45,000 units. Volvo's Americas president, Luis Rezende, told me late last year that the company at the time was importing about 95% of the vehicles it sold in the US. It wants to boost US sales to 200,000 units a year and wants its Charleston factory to produce about 50 to 60% of that. A likely candidate for a US introduction might be Geely Auto's Chinese brand Zeekr, kind of a performance-oriented premium brand, analyst.
See, there you go. That's a different story. If they can creep their way in and just sell this particular Zeekr vehicle, and it be a competitor to our EV car makers, that's a whole different story. So this might be the beginning of that. Let's check it out.
Says might slot right in below Volvo.
Executives from Zeekr have said that they want to introduce the Zeekr brand into the U.S. market. So that, of the other Geely brands, and they have a whole range of brands, but of the other Geely Group brands, that is the most likely one to be introduced into the U.S. market.
Zeekr already has a partnership with Waymo, which has been rolling out Waymo-equipped Zeekr vans in San Francisco. Waymo also uses Jaguar I-Pace EVs and has plans to use vehicles from Hyundai and Toyota as well. In China, Geely has become a rising star in the country's brutal domestic car market. Shares surged in early March after the company outpaced its Chinese rival in sales 2 months in a row.
I think we hit it on the head. That's looking like the play. They're flirting, and then next thing you know, we might see these vehicles out on the roads.
Geely Holdings brands sold close to 1 million vehicles in the first quarter of 2026. Among Chinese companies, Geely is unusually at ease operating in markets that are quite different from China.
They've entered many markets in Europe, so they're gaining a lot more experience about being an international presence. And so, but make no mistake, the jewel is the United States, where they all feel that it can be their most profitable market.
One of its challenges is that it might be stretched a bit thin across all of the different brands it is operating. Dunn Insight's CEO Michael Dunn.
And that thing looks kind of sleek. It looks appealing to the eye.
Told me. While Geely is definitely one of the best positioned to set up shop in the US, it's not alone. Stellantis has a roughly 20% stake in Chinese automaker Leapmotor.
There's another opportunity to rebound.
I'm glad Stellantis got rid of that one CEO. That guy almost ran the company down to the toilet.
An existing vehicle as a Fiat or something that's more familiar to Americans.
I always wanted one of those Jeep, the 4E, the 4xe. I had my eyes on one of those. I wanted one of those, but Jeeps, you know, they got a reputation for having maintenance issues and all that good stuff. So I stayed away from that, but I do like the Jeep Wrangler 4xe. I like that one.
You know, and there's already an infrastructure in place.
Everybody in the industry outside of China is rightly scared of trying to compete with these companies.
Of course, Geely and every other Chinese automaker has to deal with sharp opposition from many in the US government. Speaking at the New York Automotive Forum in April, US Senator Bernie Moreno called Chinese cars a cancer on the US auto industry. There already is a federal rule that
facts
bans any kind of technology from China related to connected cars. Currently, there is also a 100% tariff on Chinese EVs, and that can be even higher if combined with other duties. About 38% of American consumers in
this administration will put a 400% tariff on them. I'm telling you.
A survey taken by Cox Automotive said they would consider a Chinese car. Close to 70% of younger buyers would. And Donald Trump recently said at an address to the Detroit Economic Club that he'd be open to Chinese companies setting up shop in the US.
Now, if they want to come in and build a plant and hire you and hire your friends and your neighbors, that's great. I love that. Let China come in, let Japan come in. They are. And they'll be building plants, but they're using our labor.
I don't know about that. Copy. I understand the concept, but it's only if they build a whole plant and all that stuff, hopefully they'll use that model and they stay here for years and years to come. Roger that, but I don't know. It's kind of like maybe that could work, and maybe that's the play. We'll just have to monitor it and see what happens. But I can see that relationship not going the way it was initially or proposed intended. So as we speak on EVs, you know, the more and more they regain that popularity, the more and more access to charging stations need to be made. As we mentioned, if you charge at home, this is not it's not applicable to you. But a lot of Americans, they may live in an apartment that doesn't have a charging station, et cetera, et cetera. So again, if you're using the charging stations, you know, sometimes that can be just as bad or inconvenient, I should say, as, you know, waiting for the gas pump. So we're going to hear some reporting on down there in South Florida, you know, where I lived for a little while, and how they're having charging problems.
You can't drive anywhere in South Florida without being bumper to bumper with an electric vehicle. Talk to any owner and they get charged up quickly when they're asked about the number of public charging stations. With good reason. A new report shows there's not enough infrastructure to keep the power flowing. Next, weather meteorologist Scotty Withers is your reporter with what's behind it and a possible solution.
Zachary White powers up his Tesla EV every day before heading out on Miami's busy roads.
It's simple. It's like a no-brainer for me. And plus, you're not waiting on a gas line anymore.
And he's not paying the soaring gas prices drivers are paying for their gas-fueled cars.
The most I've ever spent on a full charge was $12.
Across the state, Florida drivers are still buying EV.
It's sweet. I'm telling you, if you can have a charging port at home, those kilowatts are very, very, very affordable.
Despite political changes that led to the end of incentives.
EV sales in Florida are doing really well. I mean, the state still ranks number one in the region for EV sales and number two in the country.
There's 335,000 electric vehicles registered in the state, representing 11% of all new vehicle registrations last year. All those EVs need charging stations, and that's where Zachary White noticed a problem. There are not enough fast chargers.
No, not in the city, but along the highways and turnpike, there are.
The green dots on the Department of Energy's map of chargers nationwide makes it look like there are charging stations everywhere. When you zoom to Florida, only the coastal and tourist areas are covered. And when you look at South Florida, most of those are for private use at hotels, condo, and apartment complexes.
This is a common sight at fast charging stations. Every single one of the chargers is full, and then there's a long line out the driveway and into the road.
Yeah, that's worse than pulling up at the gas or the filling station. That's worse than and you got to wait there. I don't know. I never really used the fast charging facilities, but I'm pretty sure it's like 15 minutes or something like that to get a fast charge. Holy smokes.
Several years ago, the Biden administration gave Florida almost $200 million to build out EV charging stations.
But as of today, Florida has spent zero of those dollars on deploying fast charging stations.
But
well, that's where that money go. Where did that money go, Florida?
Lack of state infrastructure is charging private business opportunities.
We are the infrastructure at this moment that is missing in the nation.
Carlos Ortiz is the regional director of B Charge EV. His company provides on-location EV charging for stranded motorists and owners without charging.
I think that is a brilliant business model. Man, that's, stranded folks in EVs. They can call up B Charge EV. They can come out, or they can provide charging. I don't know, in a parking lot at Walmart or something like that. I think that's a brilliant and good for the economy. Different ways to make money. So good on them. That's smart.
Most EV owners like Zachary White do their charging at home at night.
It's the cheapest way to go too. If you have your own home charger, it's the cheapest way to own a vehicle.
Not going back to gas.
Scott Withers, CBS News, Miami.
I definitely feel that gentleman on that. Tell you what, once you go EV or have an EV and experience that and charging it at home, I wouldn't say you wouldn't go back to ICE vehicles, but just that convenience, man, I'm telling you, it's awesome. So we've been reporting on this channel how data centers are basically causing havoc in neighborhoods across the country, and how more, they're popping up more and more. So we've been following this story on ways that they can make or improve on the whole data center model, because they are necessary. With more and more online cloud technology, you're going to need these data centers. So hopefully this particular reporting catches this model catches on. I think it's very innovative. So check out the reporting and we'll add some commentary.
Wednesday is Earth Day. For some, it may feel hard to celebrate given recent efforts to increase our reliance on coal and oil. But innovators keep coming up with new technologies for a cleaner world. And this morning, David Pogue introduces us to a few of them.
Here are two global problems you probably don't like to think about. First, burning gas and coal is still heating up the planet. Second, those thousands of AI data centers popping up all over the country? They consume enormous amounts of power, which produces even more carbon pollution and drives up our electric bills.
And this is not really going to stop.
That really ties in. The more and more data centers pop up, the more and more our electricity bills go up. That's going to be more and more it's going to cost to push our EVs. So it's definitely a chain reaction. So if we can get a grip on this now, nip it in the bud, we'll all be better off for it.
At the beginning of this demand.
Garth Sheldon Colson is the CEO and co-founder of Panthalassa. He hopes to address both problems at once with wave energy.
The ocean is really unlimited in terms of...
Nobody needs their electric bill any higher than it is, especially in the summertime for those in the South or anywhere. If you have a warm summer, nobody needs their electric bill any higher than it already is to push the AC or HVAC.
Much energy is available. It will really be the cheapest energy on the planet. What this thing is really is a floating hydroelectric dam.
I want to go solar, me personally. The wife isn't bought in on solar. It's still it's still too expensive for me to make that jump, but I would like to go solar and go from there. I think, yeah, it's a leap of faith, but it's been tried and proved or proven, but it's still a little bit too costly for me right now. But in the future, I would like to definitely just go solar and just break off the grid and see how that goes.
Panthalassa's test model, the Ocean 2, now rests on its side at the company's plant in Vancouver, Washington.
As it goes up and down with the waves, it causes water that's in that tube to be forced up into the top.
Okay.
Once it's in the ball, the water is forced through a turbine. The turbine spins, and that's what makes the electricity. The water sits here, so all you see is this part on top.
Using a model of the latest design, the Ocean 3, Sheldon Colson explained the most surprising part. There's no anchor and no cables. And this is not tethered to the bottom.
Correct. This is a self-propelled system. And so it's like a little Roomba, except it's enormous.
There's no cable to bring power back to shore either. In essence, these are floating data centers. They generate power from the waves, process AI computing tasks on the spot, and send us the answers by satellite.
When you deploy many of our systems, they work together basically as a data center. So we think of it as a really good alternative to data centers on land.
Panthalassa has all of the private funding it needs because it offers AI companies a quicker, cleaner way to get power than building data centers on land. Construction of the Ocean 3s is well underway.
That's very innovative. It's always a flip side. Maybe it damages wildlife in the ocean. I don't know. It's a big ocean out there, but it's very intuitive and sounds good for the data center sector.
This exact unit, seawater.
This system will be deployed around August of this year.
And what are the advantages of the power that it will generate?
Clean, no fuel, no land use, no getting in the way of other activities on land, and very fast to scale because we can just manufacture the systems.
Eventually, the company hopes to deploy thousands of them far out at sea.
Do you ever wake up in the morning going, I might be the guy who can solve two of the biggest problems in the world? Not enough energy and too much pollution.
You're looking at a guy who's going to be very, very, very wealthy here in the future. That's what it looks like to me.
It is really exciting that we're working on something.
There's two ways to get rich: either solve a problem or, provide a service. So he's definitely on his way, to do both.
That is coming along right at the right time in a way that's much cleaner, much more sustainable, and quite scalable so that we can really meet that demand as it comes.
Outstanding. We'll definitely be following that story. Keep you all updated on the pivot. So this is a story that is near and dear to me, as I myself have a teenager or a young man who is graduating here this year. Students are now questioning, whether college is the right way to go. So definitely wanted to add some commentary on this one. And we'll see what the reporting is on it. But I agree with them. It's just status quo is like I'm doing with my boys. You finish high school and go to college, because no matter how you break it down, the statistics are the statistics. Those with a college degree typically makes X amount of money more than those of just with a high school diploma. So the statistics are the statistics. Trade is getting more and more popular these days, which is great. But let's hear some reporting on this, and of course, I'm going to chime in for the pivot.
Around the country, but this season's celebrations come at a sobering moment for many public colleges and universities confronting major challenges: funding cuts, attacks from the Trump administration, and declining enrollment prospects. For their part, students are facing steep loans and too often dicey job prospects, especially in this era of artificial intelligence. That's led many to openly question whether a college degree...
Obviously, that's the issue. I mean, they go hand in hand, but it's probably not the college part that's the issue. Obviously, it's the loans. So I'm trying to do my best personally, to have my kids with less loans as possible. So they're going to do the whole community college thing, so forth and so forth. But it's just getting too much. I don't see how. Well, I guess a lot of them are affluent, but a lot of these college students, graduating with that much debt, just getting out there into the world is just not great.
Even worth it anymore. Economics correspondent Paul Salmon visited the state of Michigan to find out how some schools and students are approaching this question. It's part of our series, Rethinking College.
Anyone else feel like their college degree was absolutely not worth what they paid for it?
This is a feeling that's all the rage on TikTok.
I'm literally 22 years old and jobless. That college degree, I guess, means nothing because I've literally been applying to jobs for 6 months.
And thus
I wish you would have mentioned what career, what degree, what was her degree in. That way we could have definitely deep dived on that.
Charge against higher ed these days.
I truly believe that going to college only set me back farther from the goals I wanted to achieve and where I wanted to be in life.
The cost of a degree just too damn pricey, given the iffy benefit of a job today, much less a job tomorrow.
On the scale of 1 to 10, how worried are you about going into the world of work now?
I'd give it an 8 as of now.
1 to 10?
Probably about a 7 or 8. The larger climate for entry-level jobs right now is really hard and scary as somebody, as you're graduating or anticipating graduation.
And yet these are students at Michigan State University, where the president, Kevin Guskowitz, boasts
93% of our graduates over the last 5 years have been placed before they graduated in either a first job or to graduate school.
At much smaller Eastern Michigan University, the same job anxiety.
How worried are you on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'll go with a 7. I know Eastern will hold career fairs and everything, but it's not necessarily guaranteed, so you never know.
How scared are you on a scale of 1 to 10? 1, no fear at all. 10, terrified.
I would say I'm at an 8.5, really high. Yeah, it's all very scary to me.
Didn't you?
Again, we got to ask the question of what are you pursuing? What is your degree in? And then we'll go from there. Don't just be scared, be intentional.
To be this way, of course. A wage premium for a college degree has far outweighed the cost for as long as anyone can remember. Those with a degree earning $1 million or more over their lifetimes, compared to folks with just a high school diploma. But nowadays, the question has become...
We just touched on that. Good reporting.
The education worth the price?
It was my cheapest option, so.
How much does it cost?
I come here for under $4,000 a year.
Compared to a national average all in of a...
Well, that's not bad, under $4,000 a year. But sis need to we'll keep on going.
$27,000 at public universities. Out of state cost, nearly double. So a stratospheric price tag, as much as 6 times the price of the BA at my school back in the 60s, inflation adjusted. The main suspects, major growth in specialized programs and the personnel to support them, part of what's been called administrative bloat. There's also the amenities arms race, rec centers, food courts, climbing walls. But most significantly for major public schools, years of cuts in federal and state funding, all of which has led to an affordability crisis and declining enrollments at places like Eastern Michigan, not to mention schools now going extinct. So what's a university president to do?
We have to adapt with the changing landscape of society and of the various industries that higher education has to serve.
For Michigan State, that means reaching out to its 550,000 person alumni base and asking them what skills are most important for the modern workforce.
Bring alums to the table, create a think tank group, and learn from them about what it is that would be attractive to them if they were going to hire an alumnus.
So the focus is on hiring, on getting jobs for grads.
It is, and creating internships are so important today, so much more than ever before.
Brendan Kelly,
Can these institutions not look within their own institute and cut some of the, not cut the staff, but cut some of the, there gotta be some fat there, or maybe reduce some salaries for the higher echelon. That's never on the table. So I don't know, man. I'm pretty sure there's ways for the institution to bring down those prices. It just has to be.
The installed president of Eastern Michigan University agrees.
Landscapes change, and the businesses that are...
They get those endowments. They get proceeds from from their sports. I don't believe all of that, man. I'm telling you.
Those landscapes have to change with them. Higher education hasn't done that very well. Our business is rooted in the student and then has to be connected to their participation in the economy after graduation.
A favorite example of the president's student Megan Davis's ankle brace project.
And I said, so was it successful? And she goes, no. I said, why are you so excited? She goes, because now I know that won't work.
It wasn't necessarily a failed project. It was an experimental project just to see what would happen.
That looked interesting. That's a surprise to me. That looked very interesting.
It didn't work for this specific patient, but it could work for someone else, so it was good research. Any research is good research. I also liked that our program was completely in person, so I was here since the beginning. My full 2 years were in person.
So that's the benefit of college, just that experience and that type of environment, to promote thought, think tanks, learn from your peers. Definitely some advantages to it. I only went to college online, so, went to technical college when I first got out of high school. Then I had to get out of that, but I definitely has some pros and cons to it.
Able to get hands-on right away.
But even here, the economics are getting worse.
The Department of Education has put caps on federal student loans for graduate programs.
Professor Nathan Kern says,
professions such as nursing, physical therapy, orthotics and prosthetics.
That's your field.
That is our field. They've taken away the professional degree designation. So now we're considered a non-professional degree.
Pricier loans for students due to...
I don't know the meaning of that. How about that? You all help me out with that one.
Administration restrictions. For the schools, federal funding R&D cuts, even funding cuts at the state level.
The state does make an investment in EMU every year, absolutely. But if you go back to the 1970s, it was a very different ratio. Now, states just make much less of a contribution than they used to.
Now, there is one more major critique of higher ed that needs to be acknowledged, long made by conservative scholars like Peter Berkowitz.
Universities had begun to lose their way a long time ago, and over the last decade, we've seen even stronger attempts to regulate speech.
This is a critique the Trump administration has adopted as a reason for punishing universities by defunding them, further exacerbating, obviously, that.
That's a part of the college experience a lot of people see in a negative light. They call it indoctrinating, the students with all the political and social aspect. That's indoctrination. You know what I mean? That's what a lot of people don't like that. Oh, parents, they don't like that part. That's a tricky one right there.
Economic woes.
We now confront a problem of viewpoint diversity on campuses, and from my point of view, a broken curriculum.
which is why Berkowitz also slams DEI.
Even where DEI sprang from honorable motives, in practice, diversity, equity, and inclusion has meant race-based allocation of benefits, and it's meant imposition.
I hate the way the whole DEI topic has been. It's just been bastardized. I just hate that it's been taken all out of context, in my opinion, because diversity is always a value add, in my opinion. So it's just been bastardized to the point where we'll just move on. I just don't like, I employ diversity. You get different walks of life, different groups in the same room, and you're more than likely gonna get positive results or some good feedback from it. So forced, I guess they're mainly talking about forced, like somebody getting a job just because their ethnicity or their agenda. But it's just, I think the whole acronym has just been bastardized.
Of a progressive orthodoxy.
It will come as no surprise that some folks think this is right-wing orthodoxy, like USC professor and researcher Sean Harper, who defended DEI before Congress last year.
I stand on more than 50 years of evidence, highly credible research published in my field and in others that consistently shows that all students, not just students of color, not just women, not just queer students, but all students benefit from being educated in a diverse and inclusive educational environment.
So what do students we talk to say about DEI and woke?
I don't think that it's more about being woke or not. It's just like, can you see different perspectives without getting mad and understand their viewpoint? You don't have to agree with it.
I don't think it's an indoctrination in any sense of the word. I don't particularly use the word woke.
Kind of just tired.
Yeah.
What? It's tired and it doesn't really describe anything. I don't really know a lot of people who seriously use it to describe anything at this point.
To which Michigan State President...
That's very true. The whole woke thing, that's gone. I mean, I don't even know who made that a thing. It used to be, from where I'm around, woke used to just mean like, you're in the know, you're power, you're well versed in all that good stuff. Or that's been bastardized too.
Berkowitz adds,
in the world we're living in today, it's so polarizing, and we're heading down this path where everybody...
Woke used to mean like your third eye is open, you know what I mean? You're on it. Not the context of how I hear it out in the public today.
Their ills and where are we going to be in a decade from now? So I think we do have a responsibility to model civil discourse.
Is it unfair of critics to say that American universities are left-leaning because of their faculties?
It is. It's not the faculty that are quote-unquote indoctrinating students. Most studies show that more conservative students feel as if their voices are stifled, that they're being censored by their peers. What we have to do a better job of is creating the classroom environment where all voices can be heard.
Sounds fine in principle, but ideology is far from the main problem of higher ed in today's economy, the cost-benefit equation of going to college at all. For the PBS News.
Well, so that's the value of college. It will forever be one of those conversation pieces. Again, the numbers. Those with college degrees are going to make $1 million plus more over a lifetime, statistically, than those with just a high school diploma. So I think that's just going to be a conversation piece from time on. So we all know that traditionally, you get your bachelor's degree or your undergrad in 4 years. Apparently that trend is changing. They're offering the option to get your degree in 3 years. What that entails, I'm going to learn that with you. So let's hear some reporting on it and just break it down from there.
Only about a third of Americans now believe a 4-year college degree is worth the cost. and increasingly, students and families are questioning it too. As many colleges across the country face shrinking enrollments, more than 60 institutions are now offering students a faster path to graduation. Fred DeSam Lazaro reports as part of our series, Rethinking.
I guess shorter the time, shorter the bill. But let's see if they're going to compound classes or what the strategy is behind this. College in 3 years or degree in 3 years. Let's see.
At Johnson & Wales University in Providence, Rhode Island, signs of a typical spring are everywhere. The graduating class is honored as they prepare for their next stage in life. Some students play catch on campus green space, while others, like sophomore Jaden Stewart, begin shifts at summer jobs.
I felt like I needed to be in hospitality, and that's kind of why I went here, because I knew it's what I wanted to do.
Stewart, a hospitality management major, represents something entirely new at Johnson & Wales, however. After transferring from the University of Maine last fall, Stewart became part of an inaugural class of more than 90 students, now on track to graduate with a bachelor's degree in 3 years.
Even though it's 3 years, I'm still taking the classes that I need to take. I'm still doing the work that I need to do. And yes, I'm taking, major specific courses with less electives, but they're still going to be specific to what I need to do in the workforce.
Freshman Katie.
I always had issue with that too, though. I went to college online, as I mentioned, but they make you take these electives that you're not really probably interested in. I think they're just doing it just to get, more money for the credits. But let's see. I'm surprised the institution, they have to approve that not being in the curriculum. So let's see what they say about that.
Partland is also a 3-year student majoring in criminal justice.
None of the schools I applied to offered that, and I think it was a big factor in coming here because I really just want to work in the field as soon as I can and get the internships and get the experience.
McPartland hopes to one day work as a forensic psychologist, interviewing and advocating for victims of crime. She says for most students who pay around $45,000 a year in tuition, there's an immediate benefit to the 3-year degree.
The most obvious and universal benefit is that you save the tuition. And then for myself, I think it is being able to take the classes that I want that are targeted towards criminal justice students that really help you get engaged into what you will be going.
I'm with that 100%.
To.
Provost Richard Wiscott designed the 3-year curriculum at Johnson & Wales, a university that now serves more than 8,000 students on 2 campuses. He says the idea was to start by offering 3-year degrees in fields with an immediate need for qualified workers.
The traditional 4-year model is around 120 academic credits. We've designed our programs to be between 90 and 94 to 96 credits, but that can still be completed in 6 academic semesters, so 3 years.
Wiscott says the 3-year model also represents a much-needed rethinking for Johnson & Wales, whose student...
Now that is common sense and innovative in itself, and that's the kind of out-of-the-box thinking we need in these type of models.
Has dropped by about 1/3 over the last decade. The university was also forced to lay off more than 90 employees last year. Across the country, more than 300 colleges have closed since 2008.
Higher education is in a time of crisis right now. Public perception is lower than it's ever been. People are struggling to find the value in a college education. Tuition increases year after year after year. Families can't do it anymore. And so we have a responsibility to look at creating new ways of educating our students.
The degree in 3 is rapidly gaining acceptance in the world of higher education. Dozens of universities across the United States are now either offering it or planning to offer the option to students.
That's groundbreaking. Hey, you've heard it here on The Pivot. That's groundbreaking. I think that's going to change the conversation about value of college. And it's fantastic. Let's see how many institutions actually adopt this.
Magical about,
and it's going to bring the price of the brick. It's going to bring the price of the tuition down.
Years
Chancellor Lori Carroll says the 3-year degree was rolled out during the pandemic at the University of Minnesota, Rochester.
Look at the statistics across the country of how many students take 6 years to do the 4-year. Of course, making it way more expensive, and we cannot say that we're being successful.
This campus, which opened in 2009, has created a pipeline for the rapidly growing Mayo Clinic. Half of all graduates across healthcare fields begin their careers here. Its 1,100 students get paid internships and training alongside leading medical professionals, all while completing their undergraduate degrees 1 year earlier.
What did you presumably cut out, and how did you compensate for that?
Nothing was cut out, but the design was to use summer, to embed a paid internship that was a year long and have that supported in such a way that it was credit bearing, and to teach the courses in 7-week blocks rather than the traditional 14-week semester.
That means 3-year students like Veda Goplin still graduate with the traditional 120 credits.
More students would come to, these 4-year universities if, these 3-year programs were, offered or even advertised a little bit more, just because you do save a whole year, and you save a whole year of time and money as well.
Goplin's 3-year degree,
facts,
which she completed this month, also guarantees her a spot in a master's program at UMR to become a physician's assistant, she hopes, at the Mayo Clinic.
I'm a big planner, and to have kind of that peace of mind that I would be accepted into PA school right out of high school was like just an absolute selling point for me.
I think I'll miss the flexibility of being a college student.
Vishnuram Balasubramani is about to graduate after 3 years, and he already has a paid job as a research technologist at Mayo. He plans to eventually go to medical school, and yet he says there are drawbacks to the faster pace.
I do wish I had the opportunity to stay for much longer. I find being a college student opens up a lot of opportunities, and so being on a 3-year path kind of puts you on a limited time mode, and so you kind of have to suck up as many opportunities as possible. And so I think that's a disadvantage of graduating in 3 years, which I've recognized now.
Yeah, he sounds like he's trying to have a little bit of fun on campus, but roger that.
He's also warned that losing a year cuts classes designed to expand students' worldviews and leaves them ill-prepared for a job market now being reshaped by artificial intelligence. But back at Johnson & Wales, Provost Richard Wiscott is optimistic, even though he admits questions still remain about how both employers and graduate schools will view 3-year degrees.
I'm the first one to admit we still need to collect the evidence to make sure that we are adequately preparing these students. But we've done the right planning and the right thinking, and everybody had enough positive...
Even with breaking up the model or the status quo, he's willing to, that's how you do it. You try it, you get the data from it, and you break it down, see if there's benefits, and if not, you cut it, at least give the option. Options is great.
To say about this, that it gave us even more energy to move forward.
Moving forward, Wiscott says he expects Johnson & Wales to start offering more students in more majors the opportunity to pursue a 3-year degree. But that doesn't mean he believes it'll be a silver bullet for all students, especially ones who might need more time in college to decide on a career path.
I am not advocating that 3-year degrees should replace all 4-year degrees. I think there is enough space in the marketplace for both options. But there's a whole nother group.
I agree wholeheartedly. Let's let him finish his thoughts and then we'll move on.
Students who are very focused, who know what they want to do with their life, who don't want to spend the time exploring, they want to jump right into their chosen field of study, get as much experience as possible, and be prepared to hit the job market running.
A volatile job market that universities are trying to keep up with.
Absolutely. I hope that more institutions follow that model. Again, choices. It very well may increase tuitions as far as members volunteering or coming to your school. I think it's a good marketing play that provides actual tangible evidence. And I think it'll benefit the institutions. How about that? If they, at least offer this 3-year degree, because it even sounds good to the ear. Hey, come here and get a 3-year bachelor's degree. So let's pivot to the healthcare space. Unless you've been under a rock, GLP-1 type products are the rage right now. Weight loss. Big thing in this country. I'm on a weight loss journey myself. So I'm going to try to do it the old fashioned way though. But however, there are options out there. So let's just get right to it. GLP-1. Let's hear some reporting on it and then let's break this down.
Millions of Americans lose weight, more and more users report dealing with side effects like hair loss. And that's creating a $1 billion opportunity for the hair treatment industry.
First time I'm hearing a hair loss, I've been hearing or been researching about, bone marrow loss. They're saying that's a side effect of GLP-1. But let's hear the report and then go from there.
Just a trend. I will call it a all category reset with a wide space of opportunity for both life science and beauty brands.
I spoke with one GLP-1 user who experienced hair loss while she was on the weight loss drug. She said she used to have really thick hair, but it took a full year before she noticed it was falling out.
I know Eli Lilly is going in on the GLP-1s. That's a stock to beat. Well, it's always been a great performing stock, but I think I'm going to bite the bullet and try to start getting some Eli Lilly. That's what I'm going to do.
Clumps.
I'm starting to see commercials about GLP-1 all the time now. They're pushing it.
Accenture's global beauty lead said it's one of the most significant side effects that the beauty industry is currently watching, especially as the drugs become more accessible. And it typically appears a few months after starting a GLP-1 treatment.
It's not the drug itself that creates this thinning issue. It's really the weight loss.
I don't like needles. So I definitely would not enjoy or like sticking myself. It's probably painless, but I just don't like the thought of it.
That there is a very fast loss, the body is in shock, there is a lack of nutrients.
In a statement to CNBC, Novo Nordisk said that hair loss is an identified risk for its GLP-1s, reported more frequently in patients with the greatest weight loss. It said it continues to monitor the safety profile of its products, including information about hair loss. Eli Lilly confirmed hair loss as a consequence of its medications like Zepbound and told CNBC that patient safety is the company's top priority. About 1 in 8 US adults say they're taking a GLP-1. It's estimated that by 2030, roughly 25 million Americans will be on the medication, up from just 5 million in 2023. GLP-1 use.
Let's don't forget, this is a medication developed for diabetics. So now it looks like it's being pushed as a weight loss drug. When originally, it was created for those with diabetes.
Have also been seeking out solutions to ease some of the side effects from significant weight loss. They can spend about 30% more on beauty products. This creates more demand for a category that hasn't seen as much innovation over the past few years. Plus, consumers buying into the GLP-1 hair treatment market are expected to stick around since it takes months before results from hair treatment
GLP-1 hair treatment process
begin to show. Investors in pharma brands see the opportunity, and they're raising hundreds of millions of dollars. Beauty companies are also taking notice, like Ulta, which said it's seeing more consumers buying hair treatment products as part of the GLP-1 craze. Redken, a hair care company owned by L'Oreal, created an entire hair treatment line specifically tested on GLP-1 users.
Talk about capitalism. We're making products for a side effect of another product, and they're on it. Wow, this is good reporting.
Supplement brand Nutrafol says it's seeing more demand for its products. Another scalp health company, Carafactor, told CNBC that it's seeing 100% growth year over year in its direct-to-consumer store because of an increased interest from GLP-1 users. The beauty industry has been shifting since the pandemic. More users are prioritizing products with clean, medicinal, or dermatologist-backed ingredients. Skincare was first, and now it's hair care's turn.
In fact, hair care is really catching up with that and taking the same direction. The winning brands will be the brands that combine science-backed solutions, clinically proven with tangible results, but also
So instead of, all right, pause. So instead of, like myself, trying to lose weight the old-fashioned way, we're going to take a product that side effect is losing hair. We're okay with the side effect. We're just going to buy more products to counteract the side effect of this other product. This is madness. This is absolute madness.
So GLP-1 users may not need to wait that long for a solution, and according to the person I spoke with for the story, her hair did eventually grow back, though it took many products, multiple years, and a lot of experimenting.
Took multiple products, money to counteract a product that you probably shouldn't be using because you're trying to lose weight. When, hey, it's simple, it's math. I know it's tough, but it's calories in, calories out. Hey, that's the reporting on GLP-1s as of now and some of the side effects. I'm sure there'll be many more side effects to come for us to report on. Lord have mercy. So let's touch on some finances. As you know, we over here, we participate in the stock market. We feel that it is the best equilibrium to fight off inflation, or at least, deal with it or keep up with inflation is a better way to put it. So apparently Americans, which is great, are following the stock trading trends of politicians. I wish I had been on this. I got to do more research on this. I know there is an app out there that kind of shows you their trades. Just recently, there was a member in the administration who invested in Dell. Dell just had a huge spike, and crap, I wish I would have been cognizant of it, because Dell, they were key players in the whole Trump account. They donated a lot of money for that particular campaign, which is great. And lo and behold, I didn't have the fortitude. I just didn't think about it. Whatever they've done within their company, I got to research that. They've had a huge spike within the last month. So let's get some reporting on Americans. Well, you already know Nancy Pelosi. Her portfolio was flawless. Her and her husband. So Americans, they're starting to see the trends. Let's get smart on this. Here's some reporting on it, and at least it would behoove all of us to kind of see what they're doing, because obviously they're benefiting on, it's insider trading. They're benefiting on hearing this information early and then capitalizing on it with these different companies.
Copying these stock trades of politicians and famous investors through an app. But as so-called copycat investing takes off, so do concerns about what's really driving the trend. Evan Moon reports.
It started with a Nancy Pelosi tracker on social media in 2022 that picked up more than 1 million followers by posting the Congresswoman's money moves.
I wish I knew about that one. I was out of the loop on that one. I wasn't tracking on that. No pun intended.
Users can copy her family's stock trades automatically.
Kind of crazy to say, but she's pretty much like her own pseudo hedge fund. She has 500 million of everyday Americans' money trading alongside her right now.
Why her?
She's the best.
We sat down with Chris Josephs, whose app, Autopilot, lets
She's the GOAT in that space.
Mirror the trades of a dozen politicians and other top investors.
The Donald Trump White House asset management portfolio, for example. We had Marjorie Taylor Greene, we had Mark Wayne Mullen, Debbie Wasserman Schultz is actually a really, really popular one.
Members of Congress and their spouses are required to report trades within 45 days. Joseph says his app isn't partisan. It follows how both sides trade.
What are politicians privy to that the average American wouldn't be?
They get classified on a number of different things from back in 20.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she knows the answer to that one. That was just a baiting question.
With COVID, There were literally politicians that traded on COVID. A couple of them got investigated. They had all that information before the public did. All the wars, the Ukraine war, some politicians were trading on. The Israel-Hamas war, some of the politicians were buying up war stocks before that happened.
Multiple bills aiming to ban congressional stock trading have failed. This January, Republican Brian Stile from Wisconsin introduced the Stop Insider Trading Act.
This prevents any member of Congress from being able to benefit financially by any inside information they may gain, and this bill has real teeth.
Until then, Joseph says Autopilot aims to put the public on equal footing.
Screw it. If they're going to keep trading, why not build a way to get in on the action? Because what better way to highlight the hypocrisy of them trading than to just copy them?
$1.3 billion is currently invested through the Autopilot app. Evan Moon, CBS News.
A spokesperson for Nancy Pelosi told CBS News she does not own any stocks, while annual financial disclosures show her husband owns tens of millions in equities, a caveat the new bill would address.
Yeah, she doesn't own any, but her husband does. So definitely monitor that Autopilot app. I got to look that up. Hopefully it's a free app. That would be phenomenal. We'll definitely stick to that story and remain vigilant on that. So while we're talking about stocks, GameStop CEO is apparently putting a bid out to buy eBay. I haven't done research on this, but definitely an interesting topic. Let's do some reporting on it and then break it down.
I want to bring in now GameStop Chairman and CEO Ryan Cohen. And Ryan, first and foremost, I want to say thanks for coming on. you made headlines in more ways than one yesterday. So I tell you what, let's just begin with the announcement. The announcement, your intention to purchase eBay, $125 a share, $56 billion. We know the deal's half cash and half stock. The stock part is pretty simple to understand, right? The higher the price goes, the fewer shares you have to put out there. But the information put out a piece that actually applauded your chutzpah. And they said, though, that the deal was doomed because the cash isn't properly financed. Now, I understand if there are elements of the cash part, including potential outside investors, you may not want to mention, but can you give us more details, as comfortable as you are with the details on the cash part of this?
Yeah, we have, well, good to see you, by the way, Charles.
You too.
It's a pleasure. We have
well, let's don't get it twisted. We don't have short memories. It's GameStop. We thought they were on the verge of going bankrupt here in the recent, not so long ago. So hopefully he touches on if GameStop is here for good and how the business is, or how the company is doing as a whole.
$1 billion highly committed letter from TD. That we, as well as the bank, feels very confident they can place, and we've got $9 billion of cash on our balance sheet. And in simplistic terms, the structure of the deal is very simple. So it's $125 a share. 50% is paid out in cash, which is $28 billion, and the other 50% is equity that's being rolled into eBay and GameStop. So people don't understand how it's possible to do a transaction like this. So in easy terms, say business A is eBay. It's making $40,000. Just use round numbers for argument's sake. And business B is GameStop. If this was a stock for stock deal, we were combining both businesses, GME shareholders would own 80%. GME shareholders would own 20%. eBay would own 80%. But what we're proposing is immediate liquidity to eBay shareholders. So instead of them owning 80%, they'd be owning 60%. So they're owning 60% of 50,000 in earnings, and GameStop shareholders are owning 40% of 50,000 in earnings. Now, I'm confident that I can increase the value of eBay and their earnings by cutting costs dramatically. They're spending $2.5 billion in sales and marketing, and we can make that much more efficient. So it's going to go from business A of making 40,000 is going to be making 80,000. So now the combined business is making 90,000. And there's different kinds of dilution. There's dilution that decreases earnings per share, and there's dilution that is accretive to earnings per share. This is a transaction that I believe is accretive to both eBay shareholders and GameStop shareholders because we're going to increase earnings per share significantly.
I don't know about this. I don't have much confidence in, no offense to this gentleman, but the whole GameStop, what they got going on. But I'll definitely monitor it. We'll give him a little more to get his thoughts out, but we'll move on.
By making the business more efficient, and GameStop is going to continue to be more profitable too. So the combined business can be making more than $90,000. And when you look at eBay's business as an example, you look.
Don't get me wrong. I'm all about keeping GameStop afloat. I think GameStop, we need those around, to provide, I just like the whole GameStop vibe. You go in there, it's good for the little kids or teenagers, get your games, you can trade in systems. I do like that whole model, and I don't want to see GameStop go away, long story short.
Their operating expenses of $5.5 billion.
I don't think we're ever going to see that gamma, the whole, GameStop stocks just bursting up like we did in years past. But we'll monitor it for sure.
Over $5.6 billion on an $11 billion bill.
I won't be partaking in eBay stock or GameStop just for awareness.
It's a business that can be run much more efficiently. There's no inventory. It's an asset-light business. It can be run much more efficiently. With an owner's mentality. And that's putting aside any kind of growth. That's just from treating it like a family business and operating more efficiently.
I'm not really even an eBay guy. I never really got, it's e-commerce, but I never really partook in eBay really that much. I probably missed out on some deals, but just never was an eBay guy.
Yeah, to that point, the question's been asked, why would eBay shareholders want a deal like this? And I think about the current management situation. They paid themselves over the last few years gobs millions and millions of dollars. They never buy back their own stock. They've done nothing really innovative at all with respect to that. And here, I think really for me, my opinion is you're the linchpin. You're the key to this. And it's not unlike the New York Giants saying, hey, we're going to trade for a better quarterback. And I don't know why traditional Wall Street doesn't get that, particularly when they fawn over deals like Paramount, an $11 billion company making a $100 billion deal. They can see that, but they can't somehow see you orchestrating this deal. And I think it's frustrating.
Paramount's going to be the next, not to get off topic, but Paramount's going to be, in my opinion, the next big streaming service because, hey, they made a lot of great moves. Them acquiring Warner Brothers. I think hopefully they're going to do a price increase, but they're doing the UFC fights. So I think they're going to be the next big streaming service for sure.
We'll see what happens. It's good. There always needs to be a healthy dose of skepticism.
Yeah. Speaking of which, this morning, Vlad was on CNBC. And they tried to get him to talk badly about these investors, folks who are on social media who support you, people who own your stock. I mean, what do you say to these people, folks who are just right now watching this interview that have put their hard-earned money behind Ryan Cohen saying he's going to make this work, despite what the fact that the establishment media, the financial media says about you and this deal?
I mean, the way you opened up the show is exactly what the situation is. I mean, there's a lot of experts. They've never run a business. If you look at GameStop and where it is today and where the experts predicted GameStop was going to be, it's doing a little bit different. And I'd rather not say. Just look at our financial results, and we can play all the old clips of, from all the experts and the Wall Street, the Wall Street analysts that were bearish on the company. And frankly, by the way, the company should have been bankrupt many times over. It is a very, very tough business, but it's making healthy profits now. So they weren't wrong. If the old management would have continued running the company, then we wouldn't be having this conversation now.
Hey, if Cohen kept them afloat and brought them back to life, then kudos to this gentleman. I wasn't really tracking on who the CEO was when they were going through that turmoil, but if he brought them back, then maybe this is a good move for eBay. Maybe he is that spark that can change that model.
It wouldn't be about GameStop if they would have continued running the show.
Right. There's no doubt about that. Let me, again, picking up on that though, because you have been pretty tough, and you wrote this great piece called "The Hollow Men." Before we get into that though, Semaphore put out a piece. They said about Ryan Cohen, the billionaire didn't help his case Monday when he squandered what goodwill he had with the street in a disastrous CNBC interview, playing to his base rather than.
Since GameStop CEO's unsolicited bid for eBay looks dead on arrival.
The investors he now needs. By showing contempt for legacy financial press and big institutional investors, those investors are crucial if he is serious about taking over eBay. Your thoughts?
Can't take it too seriously. It's okay.
Okay. Let me pick up on the hollow man post, because you did.
All right, I think we're good on that. If you want to track eBay, roger that. E-commerce, Amazon, Walmart Plus, they do a great job in e-commerce. But again, eBay does have that unique niche to where you can buy and sell. If somebody wants to sell something, they can get on eBay. And I don't know too many models. They're definitely leading the industry on the whole. If you want to sell something, or Facebook Marketplace, I guess, is a good competitor. But I would say eBay is leading that industry in people just buying and selling via e-commerce. So just for awareness, Mickey D's is phasing out their self-service soda dispenser. We shouldn't be drinking soda anyway, but that, back in the day, that's always been just kind of like the norm, and probably one of their, a selling factor for their model. You can get the different sodas, mix them, etc., etc. However, they're eliminating that in their stores. I'm pretty sure what they're saying that folks was, and we've all done it before, you ask for water and then you get a Sprite instead. But apparently that's dipping into their bottom line. So that will be a thing of the past. We're going to hear some reporting on it just for everybody's awareness.
Fizzling out. Conversations are bubbling online over McDonald's and their plans to completely phase out self-serve soda machines over the next 6 years.
Okay, so say goodbye to these things.
While Mickey D's first announced these plans back in 2023, thirsty customers are now starting to notice.
They don't have a fountain drink machine anymore. They get you your drinks.
Going and getting your meal and then going over and picking your soda was part of the experience.
It's not clear how many of their more...
It was part of the experience. I saw one reel where this guy had like a gallon jug and he went over to the fountain dispenser and was filling up a gallon jug. I'm pretty sure that was just a prank. I'm pretty sure that's definitely not the norm, but it was hilarious.
38,000 locations still have the self-service machines, but McDonald's says it's on course to complete the transition to behind-the-counter soda service by 2032.
Is it kind of sad?
Oh yeah, for me personally, yeah. Gosh, I've been a heavy user of self-serve drink stations. I'm a Diet Coke addict.
Editor-in-chief of Restaurant Business, Jonathan Mays, says he understands the online reaction.
This thing that we had, like you would get the ultimate amount of control on how much you wanted to drink. And it was a great bargain. And you could mix and match. You could do all sorts of things with it. And
were that many folks basically stealing or whatever the soda though for them to make a a big change like this and change up their whole experience?
And now you really can't.
Some customers speculating theft is the reason Mickey D's is pulling the plug.
Apparently, too many people are going back to the well.
You used to be able to walk into McDonald's, ask for a water cup. You take that water cup and get any drink you want.
In light of the recent buzz on social media, McDonald's.
That's facts. I would stop doing that a long time ago because ethically, but yeah, I'm sure everybody's have done that once or twice before. Come on, be honest.
As the changes to ensure a consistent, high-quality experience for customers and crew across all ordering channels, whether that's McDelivery, the app, kiosk, drive-thru, or in-restaurant. The classic soda fountain has long been a favorite of the fast food faithful.
Quarter pound French fries, leafy Coke.
At the center of that iconic McDonald's nostalgia.
Get your first taste now at McDonald's.
Even inspiring miniature toy versions.
Fisher-Price introduces the McDonald's soda fountain.
But the real-life version going dry as the Golden Arches cut back on customer control.
Valerie Castro joins us tonight, and she comes with the soda. So, Valerie, were these self-serve or were these soda machines in the back of the franchise that you went to?
So our lovely colleague Taylor went and picked these up for us, and she said that these were not a self-serve machine. These were something that she had to order from the counter. But even though McDonald's is doing away with the self-service machines, they're still jumping on the beverage trend. We know fast food places have added energy drinks. They've added protein in some cases. These are some of the new things that you can find at McDonald's this week. This is the Sprite Berry Blast, and it's blue raspberry with cold foam. It's considered a dirty soda.
Okay, that's a new thing.
If you would like to try. This is the Blackberry Passion Fruit Refresher. It's lemonade with freeze-dried dragon.
First of all, we shouldn't even be consuming these because of the amount of sugar in them, but we make our own choices. We're going to do what we want to do, but we shouldn't even be drinking. And look at the amounts that we're drinking these in.
Fruit. It is.
That's sweet.
Then we're going to take GLP. Holy smokes.
So clearly these sorts of things are not going away. But just to note, as far as getting free refills, you might wonder about that if you can't.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. I mean, you could go back. That was great.
The company says it's really up to the individual franchisees if they will continue to offer free refills or if you go back.
So store by store, case by case basis.
Yep. Some might charge you.
Can't believe that. Wow. End of an era.
Maybe that's the reason they want to take the self-serve out so they can push these dirty sodas and maybe charge for refills. Maybe that's the play. Could be.
Anyways, Valerie, we thank you for being here. Thanks for bringing the drinks.
Well, that's that. For your awareness, Mickey D's doing away with self-serve soft drinks. Recommend probably. I've been doing sparkling water here as of late. Hopefully they don't jack you up or it's just as bad as regular soda. I've been doing the bubblies. Definitely not sponsored. Pellegrino, things of that nature. For those that didn't know, Skip Bayless returned to First Take, and lo and behold, he's still riding the coattails of LeBron James. So definitely want to get that in on the pivot and report on it. I don't think he's a weekly commentator, but he did make his appearance back. So let's see what Skip has to say.
So ridiculous. So right. It's so truthful. LeBron played exceptionally well tonight. Longevity GOAT.
Just made it back on the ESPN platform. And of course, that's the topic he's on.
Hanging on to 9th on my...
Man, damn near made a career off, basically being the LeBron James commentating antagonist.
All-time ranking, barely hanging on to 9th.
Okay, we say top 2, we say top 5, 9.
9.
Go ahead.
9.
9th best player all time. I mean,
you want me to explain?
You need to, for the audience to have to be subjected to this drivel that is about to come out of your mouth. LeBron James, you got me defending LeBron James. 9th, 9. 8 players in NBA history that you'd pick ahead of LeBron James.
Yes.
Go ahead, Skip. You know what? It's your day. Right. It's unbelievable. Go ahead.
Here's my point.
All right.
Obviously, we agree.
Funny thing about this one is since they're reunited. Now, Stephen A. is not the biggest LeBron James fan out there right now.
Michael Jeffrey Jordan from Chicago, Illinois,
That's
played
right.
in Chicago,
Very
Illinois,
good.
is by far and away the GOAT. Do we agree on that? Thank you very much.
Nothing to discuss there.
Okay. The 8 players above LeBron James on my list are all, what's that?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I said,
Okay.
go ahead.
The 8 above, starting with Jordan, are all cold-blooded basketball killers that I would trust with games for my life. And LeBron James, to me, has proven over many, many years to be the most mentally fragile superstar I have ever closely observed. I mean, the poor man, as gifted as he is, he was born without a clutch gene, so he's lucky to be in the top 10.
Same old talking points. Same old stick.
Because he's a liability and always has been at the late game free throw line. You can just look it up. He is, by superstar standards, a poor free throw shooter in his career at 74%, and he's a poorer three-point shooter at 35% for his career. And you want to talk about launching LeBricks? He's launched a lot of LeBricks in his day. And the point is, Stephen A., he's had so many epic fails. And I'm going to go through them for you in just a minute and let you try to tell me I'm wrong about.
If you watch Undisputed, you can almost recite this guy's talking points. You know, I can almost rain them off verbatim.
These are monumental collapses that his billions of blind witnesses.
He quit in the NBA Finals, blah, blah, blah. Dan Gilbert said blah, blah, blah.
They're scrubbed from his resume and sweep under their carpets, their magic carpets. I give you longevity king or longevity GOAT because he is the most durable player in the history of sports, and that's not even close. But he's 4-6 in the NBA Finals. Obviously, Jordan 6-0 with 6 MVPs. And let's start with my number 2, Magic Johnson. I mean, 5 rings and the greatest winner leader ever, and you've got him ranked below LeBron James. That's just wrong. Then number 3 on my list.
Even Stephen A. doesn't even want to hear this nonsense.
Shaquille O'Neal. For 3 years, he was the most dominant force on offense and defense.
And he, quote unquote, can't stand LeBron.
I ever saw in my many years that go beyond your many years of covering this league. Number 4 on my list is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who only won 6 rings in his time with the most unblockable, unstoppable shot that anybody ever shot, the sky hook.
This is blasphemy.
No, it's not blasphemy. Then number 5 on my list, Tim Duncan. He would have 6 rings if not for Ray Allen saving LeBron's legacy, which should be 3-7 in the finals with the greatest clutch shot I ever saw. Number 6 on my list is Bill Russell, who only has 11 rings, including the last 2 as a player.
I barely can stomach this. I just want to hear what SA has to say, and then we're going to move on.
Coach, case closed. Number 7 on my list, 1 game for your life. Do you want LeBron James or Kobe Bean Bryant? Because I'm taking Kobe, 1 game for my life, and you can't argue that. And I know you won't argue that. And number 8 on my list, 1 above LeBron, is Larry Joe Bird. And listen, 1 game for my life, I'm taking Larry Bird over LeBron.
Larry Bird doesn't get as much credit as he should. Almost a little before my time, but Larry Bird should be mentioned more in these conversations.
Any day, any night, any month, any year, give me Larry Bird with the ball in his hands at the end of games. I don't know how you can refute anything I just said. He's 9th on the list, and he's lucky to be 9th on the list.
He's worse than Doggy.
Yeah.
That is one of the most asinine things that have ever come out of your mouth in your illustrious career in television. It's almost so blasphemous. I don't know if you should be banned.
Skip just wanted to come back and just make a splash. Hopefully they won't be having him back.
Television. I mean, I can't believe what the hell you just said. It's unbelievable that you would say come to this stuff. Skip Bayless, did you know that LeBron James holds the NBA postseason record for the most game-winning buzzer beaters of all time?
Yeah, because he.
Hold on, wait. No. You said you got a countless amount of evidence where he didn't show up. I just told you he is the all-time leader.
Yeah.
postseason record for the most game-winning buzzer beaters. Now, granted,
Well, that's all I wanted to touch on with this. I can't listen too much more of that. I just wanted to touch on
I'm not going to compare it to Jordan because he's got 5.
I just wanted to touch on how basically, Skip made his return and basically still riding the coattails of one LeBron James. With that, okay, Vlad and Aries Spears. Let me preface this by saying I actually like Aries Spears. I know he's an acquired taste. He rubs a lot of folks the wrong way, but I am one of those folks where when Vlad does an Aries Spears, when he has him as a guest, I typically do tune in, check out one of the clips or something like that. Anyway, for those that don't know, those two have been disputing over, we can call it contract negotiations. But just wanted to touch on that one because I think Vlad, he's been out of pocket on this one. Their relationship seems like it has severed. But Vlad definitely has been having this beating on his chest. And just want to play a little bit of this for the final seg. And we'll go from there.
Sup, Vlad? So tell me about the Aries Spears thing. Well, he's talking about he's going to sue you. Like, where did that come from?
Right. So I said what I said about Aries Spears. He put out a video that said that he gonna sue me for defamation because I said that he was rude to my employees. That things are about to.
Vlad talking with bass in his voice.
I'm about to sue you for defamation of character. This is about to get ugly. Because now you're just making shit up. I saw the clip where you said your staff, as in multiple people, said that I was disrespectful to them. Your staff, you got one guy that's in the studio with you, and that's the cameraman. And the only interaction I ever have with your camera guy is when he mics me up. And I signed the tablet saying you could use my likeness. No words are ever exchanged between me and the one guy in the studio besides you. Your staff, and I'm disrespectful, you have a lawsuit coming.
I don't know what grounds Spears. Hey, I don't know. Maybe he does have a case, but Vlad seems to think he doesn't.
Go ahead and sue me. Go ahead. You can't sue over the truth. I said in the last interview that you were rude as hell with my employees. You show up and you forgot your sweat towel because you're so fat and sloppy. You sit. See,
adding a lot of spice to it. Holy smokes. I don't know why he chose Spears to this relationship is just gone sour.
So he sits down, he forgets his towel. He lives 10 minutes away. Instead of going back to his house and getting his towel, he tells my video manager, Leo, to go find him a towel somewhere in LA. This is not a gopher. This is not a production assistant. This is a video manager. He's ordering him around to go look for towels. So his big Jabba the Hutt sitting there with the air blasting, with makeup on.
Vlad is talking reckless.
The sweat and everything. So yeah, man, we're dealing with this lawsuit.
So where did the defamation come from? From you saying
he's saying that I wasn't, that he wasn't rude to the employees. And listen, I've heard this from more than one employee. I'm not going to say who else there is because he might sue me. But trust me, I got people ready to testify.
Okay.
So go ahead and sue me. And the thing about Aries,
I don't think, to be honest, like I I want to pocket watch. I think this whole thing started by people pocket watching.
Exactly.
Like I think Boosie, Aries Spears pocket watched what you gave me, and this unfolded to all this.
Exactly.
But me pocket watching real quick, I don't think Aries Spears has the money to enter a litigation like a lawsuit.
Right.
Where there's lawyers.
I don't know how he can deduce that. That's a bit far on Tekashi 6ix9ine's part.
The $1 billion lawyer. And here's the thing, like Aries doesn't know anything about hip hop. Because if he knew about hip hop, he saw what happened when Drake lost to Kendrick and then sued. Everyone laughed at him.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. The light-skinned Jewish guy is supposed to sue the black guy, not the other way around.
Yeah.
He's messing up the order of things.
He's doing it backwards.
He's doing it backwards.
He's fucking up.
Yo, you know something? I should sue him for lying about how much money he was getting with these interviews. Because he was out there doing interviews saying, yo, Vlad gives me 5 digits.
It ain't like I'm on there for free. He pays me.
Correct.
He pays me a nice 5 figures.
Yeah.
So if my choice is either stay home on a Tuesday and do nothing and earn nothing, or go sit down for an hour and a half and walk away with 5 figures where I could not make anything, what am I gonna do? No, I agree. I'm gonna make the money and I get to check them.
He gets a low 4 digits.
What's 5 digits?
That's like 10,000 and up.
Damn.
He was getting 4,000. He was.
All right, that's enough. Point being is, I don't get messy over here, but just want to report on that. Point being is, Vlad chose Aries to basically talk spicy too and all that good stuff. Why he felt that comfortable doing Aries like that, I don't know. But I did used to enjoy their interviews, to be honest with you. As a comedian, Aries is funny sometimes. I know he's done some wild stuff, but anyway, that's the pivot for this week. Definitely see you on the next one. I've been out, so appreciate your attention, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.